I want to thank Sam, Rabbi Sam Shor, and I want to thank Rabbi Ari for, number one, thinking of studying Rav Kook. And if you read the book, you'll see the different reasons and the different path of how he got to actually study Rav Kook when he was in a Haredi yeshiva. Meaning he didn't study it Stam because he was in Bnei Akiva or something. He came from one side, went all the way to the other side, and then maybe Rav Kook put him back into place. If I can interpret his roots and routes. And I think that when he came to me, I was intrigued because I said, it's amazing how little I know about Rav Kook, how little I know of his writings for sure. And if I know that little, that means that I assume that at least another 20% of the population know at least not more than I do. And it was something that we thought was very important to put out. And again, as being a pluralistic, I would say, a non-denominational publisher, we believe that getting the writings of Rav Kook the way they're presented here in this book is a service to the public, to all Jews. I don't like the terms religious and non-religious. I call us Jews mekaymei mitzvot, shomrei mitzvot, veshomrei od yoter mitzvot. I don't know what the difference is between religious and not religious. I think every one of us is somewhere on that spectrum, and I do this and you do that. You take care of what you do, I'll take care of what I do, and let's be better people. And on this note, I'll give the stage to our two, I would say, learned rabbis about Rav Kook and about other materials. And remember, the books will be on sale at the end, and the author will be autographing them. Thank you very much, and Chag Sameach V'Kasher to all of you.
Can everyone hear me? So thank you, Ilan. Ilan, you said you're a good speaker, but that's an understatement. That was an amazing introduction to Rav Kook. I really can't think of a better publishing house to put out this book. I just have to say something before we introduce Rav Sam Shor. In many ways, the first time I met Ilan, and when we sat down to talk about this book, I was so moved by the way you talked about your own connection to Judaism, and I thought immediately, this is Rav Kook. The fact that people today are so obsessed and focus so much on the words religious, secular, Haredi, Dati Leumi, Reform, Orthodox, I think Rav Kook would have made him feel sick. And I just want to start the whole night with just a small passage from the book, which just is, it came out exactly what Ilan just said. Okay, so this is on the chapter on ethics and how you treat people. So, we often imagine that the Jewish people are split up into two groups. There is this never-ending echo we hear of two names that make up our people, religious and secular. In Hebrew, he used the word dati and chafshi. They didn't have chiloni back then. He said chafshi, I'm free of mitzvah. Liot am chafshi. These are new names that in our long history we have never pronounced. Of course, we have always understood that people are not the same, specifically in regard to their inner spiritual nature, but to allocate a separate and distinct name to identify an entire group is entirely new. There is no doubt that the past was better than the present in this regard, and how much better off would we be if we could forget these two names? So not only doesn't he like the names, he wants to forget them, but he's going to say something more intense. The pronouncement of these two names and the imaginary agreement that connects certain people together so that one person will exclaim, I am from this group, and the other will say, I am from this group, each one feeling pleased with their division, is what prevents any growth and development on either side. So Rav Kook then goes on to say, what is the problem with calling yourself religious? So he says, the problem with calling yourself religious is you become automatically self-righteous. In other words, I'm doing God's will. I know better than everyone else. So he thinks religiosity, that name, it immediately causes arrogance. And he doesn't want to be arrogant. Arrogance is not a Jewish trait. It's not in the Torah. So he doesn't like calling himself religious. On the other hand, why doesn't he want to call himself secular? So let me read this. The secular person, that is the person who thinks he belongs to this group that calls itself by this modern name, thinks that this entire concept of tshuva, in other words, growing, connecting to Hashem, connecting to the Torah, is religious and therefore does not apply to him. In other words, the problem with calling yourself secular for Rav Kook is it makes you apathetic, indifferent. You think Yom Kippur is about religious people, Pesach is for religious people, and he thinks, why would you want to be indifferent to Judaism? There's so much beauty, there's so much wisdom. So for Rav Kook, being religious, the name makes you arrogant, and being secular makes you apathetic. He doesn't want either. So, and this has a very, very strong statement here. This will be the introduction to our night. We have no other choice but to wipe out these two idolatrous names from amongst the Jewish people. Okay, Shemot Avodah Zarah. If you're a rabbi and you want to swear, you can't really swear, right? You're not supposed to swear. So how do you swear in religious language? You say, it's Avodah Zarah, Avodah Zarah, if you want to be. In other words, Rav Kook Mamash hates these words, Dati, Chiloni. I think he wouldn't have liked the word Dati Lumi. Not that they don't signify something deep, but usually they block us. They cut us off rather than, introduce us to the person. And I think in many ways what Ilan started tonight is the most important theme that we're going to talk about tonight, which is Achdut, and how Rav Kook really gives space to the other, and he doesn't try and convert them.